All right, now let us jump into the fun part, that is building our app. So I will start by opening my terminal inside a folder called YT build, but of course you can choose any destination folder on your system, totally up to you. So now let us start creating a new Expo project. So for that I'm gonna type a command npx create Expo app at the rate latest, and I will follow it by a template flag like this. Now this, let me just correct the spelling. Now this template flag is actually really important. It basically tells Expo what kind of starter setup we want for our app. Okay, so think of it as choosing a pre-made project structure. For example, there are templates for blank apps, TypeScript setups, and even pre-configured tabs navigation. Okay, so there are almost, I guess, 5 options. So by using the template flag, Expo will show us few options to choose from, and once I hit enter you will see all the available templates popping up. So for this tutorial, make sure you select the blank one. Let me just first show you by hitting the enter, and now we have 5 templates, right? So I would highly recommend you to go with the blank one, and so that you can follow the tutorial smoothly. So let me hit enter and let us give it app name, let's say notice, and it will take some time to install all the dependencies and download and extract project files. It depends completely on your internet speed how much time it would take. So let us wait for a while. And now it says our project is ready, right? And along with that it says something which will help us to run our project. It says navigate to the directory and run one of the following npm commands. So currently we are in the main folder where we had created this project, right? But you should not run these commands over here, so make sure you go to your actual project folder. Let me just type it correctly, not a C. And then in if you are running Android, if you are running Android emulator over here, or if you have an Android device, you gotta run this particular command. And for iOS users you have to run this command. Okay, currently I'm using the iOS simulator, hence I would be going with the second command. Web is not covered in this tutorial, hence we will be skipping this one for now, only these two. So let me quickly run npm run iOS like this, and it will start the macro bundler. It will reload our new project which we have just created. So it is not a C. Yeah, so this is our blank file. So along with that I want to discuss one thing, which is this, which is the QR scanner. You can scan this particular thing in your actual physical device. So when you scan this QR code, it will run the app, run your project on your actual device, no matter if it is Android or iOS. So in case like you do not have your Xcode or Android Studio setup up and running, you can use this scanner to run the project inside the Expo Go app. But for you should have this Expo Go installed in your device. So for Android users, you can download it from Play Store, and the iOS one, they can download it from the app stores. So this is the thing that I wanted to tell you now, but I'm using the my Xcode and all is all done. So I would be using the iOS simulator over here. So now let me just drag my project inside VS Code. Yeah, here we have, and let me just tell you where this particular line is coming from. It is coming from this app.js. This app.js is being registered over here, which is the index.js file. So this index.js file is the main entry point of our application. Here we are calling app.js. Okay, so now here if I want to change something, for example, subscribe to the awesome dev, it will change instantly, right? So this is how hot reloading works in React Native. If you make some any changes over here and if you hit save, then it would be automatically updated instantly. Okay, so now let us have a quick walkthrough of all the project files that got generated. So the first one is .expo. Do not worry about it. Go ahead with the second one, which is assets. So it has all the pre-generated images that are useful for this project. Okay, and then we have node modules. Node modules are basically generated when you do npmi. So yeah, it has, you know, all the folders for all the packages that we just installed, that get installed when the project is scaffolding. And then we have a .gitignore file where you can keep all the things that you do not want to push to GitHub. So it depends on you what all things you want to put inside .gitignore. Then we have discussed about app.js already, and then we have a app.json file. So here you can see we have the name of the app, then we have a slug, then we have the version number. Okay, and we have some configuration for the splash screen as well. So this splash screen image, I told you about the assets, right? So it is coming from here. So these are some pre-ready images that are done for the smooth UI and UX of the already of the project that gets generated. And then we have some default configurations for an iOS and Android. But in case you install some libraries and they require you to do some configurations for Android and iOS, then you can do it over here. For example, adding some plugins or adding some libraries, etc., you can do in this file. So yeah, this was it about the app.json. Now let us move to the index.js, which we have already discussed. And then we have this package log.json and package.json file. So this package.json, it contains all the dependencies that comes pre-built installed. If we install more dependencies, then they would also be listed over here inside this dependencies object. And then we have some scripts which we can run. These are already pre-built scripts. So if I run npm run start, then expo start would be executed and it would run our project. So these are the scripts that we can run. And of course here it tells that inside the main, like main is the key, it tells that the main entry point is index.js. So somehow like it is a main entry point, and let's say you install expo router, which is a navigation package, then you need to change this particular thing. But for now we are going to keep it like this only, because we are not using expo router, we are going to go with the react navigation package. Okay, so this was all about the package.json, and we have discussed about app.js already. Now let us move to the installing the navigation and start our navigation setup. So navigation is one of the most important parts of any mobile app. It is what that let users move seamlessly between different screens, right? So for this project, we will be using React Navigation, which is the most popular and widely used navigation library in the React Native ecosystem. It is super easy to learn, intuitive to use, and very simple to set up. And thus it makes it perfect for both beginners and experienced developers. So now in React Native, there are, you know, typically three main types of navigation you will come across. One is stack based navigation, one is bottom, and one is drawer navigation. So let me just show you by, you know, opening the React Navigation package. This is the library that we're going to use, reactnavigation.org, and you can read the docs from here. And now over here I was telling that we have three type of navigators. One is bottom, then we have drawer, and then we have a stack based navigation. Okay, but in this particular tutorial we are just going to use this stack one. Okay, but of course in order to use it we need to install some dependencies, some libraries also. So let us do that as well. So we are inside the docs of navigation, and it is version 7.x, okay, which stands for 0 1 2 3 whatever. Currently we are using this one. So it says that, where, yeah, it says the installation is here. So it says that you need to install this particular core package. It is the core package for installing the React Native library. So let us use this. Open my VS Code like this, and I will open a terminal inside my VS Code itself. So if you do not know how did I open it, this terminal, you will see it on the top of the VS Code. I'm not able to, you know, record that for some reasons, but you will see it on the if you have opened the VS Code, you will see it just above it in Mac. I do not know about Windows because you can, but I'm sure you will figure it out. So now let me just quickly run this command, which is react navigation slash native. Yeah, so it is installed, I guess. Let me just, yeah, so it is installed. Let me just cross check. Yeah, here it is installed. Now along with that we are going to install some more libraries. So it says that React navigation is made up of some core utilities, and along with that we need to install the dependencies, which is React Native screens and React Native safe area context. So let me go ahead to my VS Code again and install it. So why did we install these two libraries, which is React Native Screens and React Native Surf Area Context, is that React Native Screens help us with things like screen rendering, and this React Native Safe Area Context, it helps us in keeping our layout safe from the notches and status bars on different devices. So if we do not use this particular package, then this subscribe to awesome dev, it might get concealed behind these notches and behind the hardware of the devices, so which is a bad user experience. So that's why we use this particular library. Now yeah, this is done, and so now it says that you can now continue to hello react navigation to write some code. But here also we need to install one more library. I promise this is the last one, which is native stack. This is used for implementing the stack based navigation. So let me quickly copy it and open it inside my VS code. Yeah, so this is also installed, and now let us move ahead. And it says install the elements. Like, no, we do not need that. We are just going to now create the native stack navigator. So for that, what we can do is, let me go ahead to my VS code, and now we are going to create our navigator. So for that, let me just quickly create a src folder, a screens folder, because if we are implementing stack based navigation, we should ideally have at least some screens first, right? And inside this screen I will say home.js, and another one would be add.js, or let me call it add not.js, and I will simply write rnfes. This is coming from an extension, you can install it. It is called es6 or es7 shorthand snippet, I guess. Okay, for the home as well I will do that. So we have two screens ready, right? But now what we need to do is we need to create a navigation folder which will handle all our navigation logic, navigation, and inside it you can create an index.js file, or you can create app navigator.js. I personally prefer app navigator.js. Okay, and now inside it we need to do some configuration, so let us quickly start doing that as well. So the very first thing that we are going to do is create a function app navigator followed by an arrow function, and inside it we're going to return something. I will tell you in a while what that is. So const stack create native stack navigator. So now you see we just installed this particular library, right? And this particular library gives us this method create native stack navigator, with the help of which we can create our screens stack. Okay, so how? So this particular thing, it returns us a stack object. You can call it xyz as well, but normally it is called stack. And now on this stack you can call stack dot navigator like this. So this is the navigator. This stack is an object, and how do you access the properties of objects? By calling the dot. So we call stack dot navigator. Now inside this navigator what do we do is we register our screens. So let me show you how it is done. Screen like this, and this particular thing, it takes a name of the screen basically, and it takes a component. Let me just write it properly. And it takes a component, and over here you can call your actual component that you want to render it over here. So here what do I want to render? I want to render this screen, right? Let me zoom it and let me minimize the terminal as well. So here I would call home. Okay, so it got imported from screens home. And other than that, what do we want? We want to register add note as well, right? So let us register this also. add note, and let us call add note. It got imported from add note, screens add note. Now what? Now we are going to export this like this. And now we have exported this app navigator, and let me show you how we can use it. We will what happens is we generally import this in the root of our project. So our root is app.js. So what we do is we call a function navigation container, and we call it inside, and we call our app navigator inside it. So now remember, this is a container which comes from the React navigation native package. Okay, and we need to wrap our app navigator inside it, and this is usually done inside the app, inside the root, which is app. Okay, so we generally call the navigation container inside the root of our project. So in our case, the root is app. And meanwhile all this discussion is going on, we forget that we have our stack navigation ready. I mean, the home screen is being rendered over here correctly, right? So this is coming from this now home, and add note is being not shown because of course we will add a way to render from, to go from home screen to the add note screen. So let me just quickly show you how we can do that. I will call a button, let us give it a title, go to add node. Okay, and on press what we are going to do is navigation. Now you will ask me what this navigation is, so let me tell you. Any screen that we register over here, it gets access to a navigation object by default, so which help us to navigate from one screen to another. So navigation, you can destructure it like this, and on this we can attach a navigate method like this, and inside it we call our screen that we want to navigate to. So which screen do we want to navigate to? It's the add node screen, right? So I will call add node. And now where this is coming from, this is coming from this. So whatever name you add over here, it should be come over here while navigating. Okay, now if I click on this, you will see, let me just correct it, you will see we will successfully navigate to this add node screen. So let me click it, add node screen, there you go. And you can see we have an arrow which is for the back, and the title of the previous screen, it is already being rendered. So we are not rendering it by ourselves, it is the default behavior of this React navigation library that it will give us. Okay, and if I click on it, it will go back. And on the initial screen, which is this one, this back icon is not present. Why? Because obviously if this is the root screen, then ideally it doesn't make sense to have a back button, right? So that's why it comes over here inside the another screen. All right, so I think our navigation is done. Now what we're gonna do is we are going to build the UI. But before actually start coding the UI, let me just show you the screenshots of our UI that you saw in the demo itself, in the demo of the video, so that you have an idea that what we are going to actually code out. So guys, this is the UI that I wanted to show you. You can see we have this first screen. So this will show when we do not have any nodes, when our nodes array is empty, or when the user is landing first time on the screen, or maybe he has landed multiple times but he haven't created any node yet. So we will display a fallback UI for that. But currently our major focus should be on this screen, because this is the first screen that we are going to build the UI for. As you can see, it contains on the top, it contains the node C, which is an app name. Okay, and it has the status bar. Of course we are not gonna code it out, it comes by default. And then we have these cards, which are the nodes card. So you can see it contains a container, and then it has three text. One is for the item, like the item title, and one is for the content, the nodes content, as you can see on the right also. Okay, so this is a node content, both of these are text. And we have this date as well, which is also text. So we have three text plus one, what do we say, one another view for the rendering the trash icon. So in nutshell, you can say that we have one view on the top, then we have one view on the bottom, which are divided which have space between them. This is on the extreme left and this is on the extreme right. So we are going to code it out. And of course you can see we have a button also over here which is position absolute. So this is the UI that we need to code out. So let us start building it. So let me come back to my home screen and we are going to use the plain style sheet. We are not going to use any library. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is first I will hide this header which comes by default. So I'm going to say screen options and header shown, say it false. So now the header is gone. Okay, so yeah, you can see the content is also getting stuck within the these above these notches, right? So this is the issue that our library solves, which I told you in the beginning of this video. So now let us solve this query quickly. So over here what we can do is we can get a safe area view which is coming from this particular package, the React Native Safe Area Context. We installed this package when we were installing React Navigation. So let me hit enter and let me just fix this. Yeah, now you can see we have our content rendered within the safe areas of the this hardware, this device. So this is the benefit of this safe area view. So now let me just remove this. Of course we do not need this as well. So the very first thing that we are going to do is we will take a style prop and flex one, and let's say a background color of hashtag 121212. So the entire background of the app has turned black, right? So this is the color which I have decided. Since this is in dark mode, this color suits best. Now and now we are going to render our text like this, and the text would say the name of our app, which is Notice. Okay, not like that, it would be just this. And yeah, currently it is not showing because we haven't applied any styles to it. So let us quickly add the styles. Color would E5, E5 and EA. Yeah, and then we're gonna give some font size, let me say 34, looks good. And then font weight, it would be bold. Yeah, so we have some spacing from the left. Okay, so this is coming from margin horizontal. Now what we need to do is in order to render our list which you show in the UI over here, we need a flat list, right? So let me call the component which is flat list from React Native itself. And this flat list, it takes two main props. One is the data like this, let's keep it 1 2 3 4 now, and the other one is the render item function. So now for the render item, let me just show you once. Hello, and of course let me add some styles. You can see we have hello printed three times, right? So why it is happening? So understand that this data, it has three elements over here, right? So this render item function, it would be called exactly three times, and each time it would print a hello. So let's say if we had four and five elements over here, it would have been printed five times. So I hope you understand what this data and render item does. But instead of rendering this simple hello, what we need to do is we need to render a note item component, right? So let us quickly create the note item component. So for that we are going to create a components folder inside this src. Okay, so I did the basic ritual of creating the file and then writing rnfes. And now inside this component what we are going to do is, let me just simply render this thing only for the starter. So instead of this, let me call note item like this. Okay, and again the content is gone because of course we do not have any styles over here. So again let me say, yeah, you can see 5 times the node item is rendered, which means that this component is being rendered 5 times. Okay, and let me just close all files, they are not needed. Now we need to we need to have some data in order to pass that data to the node item function, because we cannot just render node item, we need to render the actual cards data, right? So for that I have already prepared some dummy content, dummy nodes, which I will add inside this project. So in the src I will create another file, not in the components, in the src constant.js, and I will paste my dummy nodes over here. So this is the dummy nodes array. It is an array of objects. It contains 4 objects as of now. Okay, and each object contains an ID, a title of the node, a content for the node, and then a date. So we need to render all the 3 of them. So for that, what we can do is, instead of this hard-coded array, let me just call nodes, or it is dummy nodes. Yeah. So see, it is coming from the constant. Okay. So now over here, what we can do is we need to pass the item object, which is this one, right? So how do we pass is that we write item and then we say item. Okay, so this is the prop that we are giving it. You can call it apple as well, but since it is a convention, you can call it item like this, and then you can pass the item. But where does this item will come from? It is this particular object, but how do we actually pass it? So what do we do is you destructure it like this. Okay, so now this item, it will be passed over here, and now inside this not item component we can access it like this. Very simple. And now in order to render the, let's say, title, what we can do is we can say item dot title. There you go, we have the title of the all 4 nodes rendered on the UI. Okay, and simply we can render the content as well like this. The content is also rendered. So now let us start building the UI for this. Let us start polishing our UI as well. So let's start giving some styles to this view. Okay, and let me, okay, I think the zoom is fine. So we would say background color, it would be 1C, 1C, 1E, 1C, 1C, and then 1E like this. Okay, and other than that we have a border radius. Then we have some padding from the vertical, which is 12. There you go. And then we have some padding horizontal, 16. Okay, so we have some spacing on both of these sides. Now let's say some margin bottom, it would be 16. There you go, we have some spacing. And other than that, what we can do, okay, let us keep it like this for now. We will do some more stylings on these. Let us first adjust each individual card's text and date, etc. So for the item dot title, the styles that I have decided are, the color would be E5, E5, EA. Cool. Font size would be 18. Font weight would be maybe 600. Cool. And then we have a flex of 1. Okay, and also along with that we will give a number of lines as 1. Okay, and now we're gonna style this content. So let me just make it multi-line like this. Color again, I think, what should be the color? Yeah, we are going to use some different color. It would be AE B2. Yeah, it is a subtle, subtle grayish, or you can say neutral. Yeah, font size 14 was much fine. And then line height, it would be 20. Okay, and margin bottom, it would be maybe 12. Cool. So this is done, and now guys, if you remember, we had a date over here and a trash icon over here. So for that we are going to create a different view. Okay, so let me close this one. So it would be another view. Okay, and we are gonna write text like this, and it would be item dot date, or we'll format the date. Let us just call it 2025 10/06 like this. Okay, so we have the date. Let us give stylings to it. There we go, we have our date rendered, and along with this date we have a pressable, because the trash icon, it is very clickable, right? So we need an icon over here. So let me quickly install the package for icons. So we are using Expo vector icons. You can run this particular command npmi @expo/vector icons, and I hit enter. And once the icon library has been installed, I will I will use this nppo library. You can get it from Expo vector icons. So once you need to import it first like this, and then let me just minimize this, and then you need to add it over here like this, and you need to pass a name, then a size and a color. So for the color, yeah, let's keep it white only, but we need to give some styles to the pressable. So let us start styling it. So the very first thing would be the background color like this. Then it would have a height, a width of 40. Height and width would be same because we need to make it in a shape. So border radius 10, and align items to the center, and then justify content to the center. Yeah, here we have it. Like, this is the shape that I wanted to have. And other than that, what do we want? We need to align them in a horizontal fashion, right? So what we can do is, this is the view, right? So we can say flex direction, it would be row. Yeah, we have row now, and we need to have extreme space between them. So we'll say space between. There you go. And of course, they are not aligned properly, right? So we need to align them center like this. Now you can see it is aligned with this. So yeah, this is what I wanted to show. I can see these are getting looking very clumsy. So what we can do is margin bottom, or let's say margin as top. Yeah, now this looks good, but now it is getting too much with this. So let us say margin vertical itself. Yeah, now they looks good. We have quite a breathing space in the cards, and this looks nice to me. The UI of our note item is almost done. If there are some further changes that we need to do at the end of this video, we'll do that as well, but for now this looks nice, right? So now let us code the button also. You might have seen a yellow button over here, so let us code that out as well, and it would be rendered inside this flat list. So what we are going to do for that is, we are going to render, that is called FAB, floating action button, and let's say pressable. Let's render the icon. Pressable doesn't exist. Let me import it again. So nothing is being shown over here because we need to add some styles at least. So let us style. I will first say a background color. Yeah, we have this. Okay, and we have an icon as well. So let me just quickly give the size of the icon. Let's say 26. and the color it would be this one. Yep, we have the white color. And now let us add some stylings. First we'll say the position it would be, absolute, so that we can make it floating. Currently it's not visible, but it would be visible in a while. From the right I would say 25, from bottom I would say 35. There you go, we have it. And width would be 60, height would be 60, and border radius it would be 30, to make it completely rounded. But as you can see, it is not coming inside the center, so let us do that as well. Justify content center, line items cent, not baseline, center. There you go, we have it completely rendered inside the center of this. And let me just try increasing the font size, 36 or 46. Yeah, 46 looks pretty good. Yeah, so the now the complete on the complete UI of our home screen has been done. It is completely scrollable very smoothly. We have rendered the title, the content and the date, and then we have a trash icon. Along with that we have a floating action button at the bottom. Now let us start building the UI for our add note screen. And guys, now let us start building the UI of our add node screen. But let me again show you the UI of it, so you have an idea of what we are going to build. So let me quickly get my UI screens. Over here you can see we have this new node form. So it has a new node title on the left and a cross icon on the right, and then it has two input fields. One is for the title and one is for the content. And then at the extreme bottom it has a add node button. Okay, so this is the UI that we are going to create, and this looks crazy good, right? So this looks amazing in the dark mode. So let us start building this now. So let me go back to my VS Code and let me close all the files. So this is the UI for add node. So let us go to the add node. But on the UI, how do we do that? So for that we are going to attach a on press on this button, and then we are going to say navigation dot navigate add node. It is the screen name. Okay, and if I hit press, you can see we are in the add node screen. But since we are not using safe area view over here, the content is getting stuck. So let us use a safe area view quickly. It is coming from that native safe area context. There you go, it is fixed, right? So now let us give some styles to this. Again we'll give a flex one, and we're gonna give a background color of dark, because this would be again in a dark theme. So it would be 1 2 1 2 1 2 like this. There you go. Okay, and so let us call it header view start, and copy this, say header view ends. Okay, so inside it we are going to create the title and the close button. So for that, let me take a view like this, and then we are going to have a text which would say new note. Okay, and then first let me style this text itself, because we need to see it on the screen. So let us give a color first. There you go, we have this new note on the screen. Now let us give it font size of 18 and font weight maybe bold. Yeah, and let us make it a little bigger. New note, yeah, this looks good now. Okay, and what else we can do is we need an icon on the right, so let us do that as well. And that would be a pressable, because that icon, that cross icon, it would be clickable. So inside this pressable, again we're going to call and typo, and the name would be cross size, let 44. Pressable doesn't exist, let me import it. Color would be hashtag fff. There you go. Okay, so we have these icon rendered successfully. Now what else we can do over here is, yeah, we need to make them in a row, right? So for that, what we can do is text, we can say flex direction as row. There you go, we have it. And now we need some spacing between them, so either we can give a gap, or I can say, on the flex I can say flex 1, so it pushes the any content to the away from it, so it get pushed to the extreme right. So we can do like this. And one thing that I want to do is, this is the header view, right? This particular thing, but we need a main view as well to hold the text input and the content input. So for that, what I can do is, I can use a scroll view like this and put everything inside that. So this scroll view is coming from React Native itself, and instead of a normal view, why we are using a scroll view? Because on different devices, this scroll view, let's say if the device is small but the content on the UI is large, so it will make the entire content scrollable, hence the user would get a nice user experience. Okay, otherwise a normal view won't make the content scrollable. So this scroll view, it helps in preventing that issue. Now to this scroll view, what we are going to do is, we're going to give a content container style, and we're going to say padding top, padding 20, so we have some space around them. And we're going to say flex grow 1. Okay, flex grow 1, why? Because I will tell you that in a while. So yeah, so this is done. Now let us start our text input. So I will get a component from React Native, and I will add a placeholder of title. Okay, currently nothing is visible, obviously, because we do not have the color for this title and all. So let us quickly give some styles. Background color, it would be 1C 1C 1E and hashtag. Okay, so we have something over here. Next we need to add some color. We'll say E5 E5 EA. Okay, and we have a border radius, it would be of, we can say 12. Okay, it is taking effect, but it is not very visible. So what we can do is, we can add a placeholder text color first, so it would be E8 E93. So now you can see we have a title over here. Okay, so border radius 12. Now padding horizontal, it would be 16. So we have some padding over here, it would be 16 as well, or let us keep it 12. 12 is a bit less, let's keep it 16. Font size, it would be 18. Yep, the font size has been increased. Margin bottom, let's keep it 16. Border width would be 1. And the border color, we will add a subtle border color, so it would be 3C. Now there you go, we have this nice looking border which is very subtle, and but it looks great. And of course we can say margin vertical 16. Okay, now this looks good. And similarly for this title, we can add a value and on change prop, which but we'll add them in a while. First my focus is completely on building the just the UI. So let us duplicate this. because we have two text inputs, right? And over here what we can do is we will say content. So we have this, but this content has some different stylings as well, right? So for example, it have a bigger height. So for the height we can say 250. Yeah, this looks good now. And along with this 250, what we can say is we can pass a multi-line prop through, so that this content, it will start from the top. Okay, like this. All right, and text align vertical, which we should ideally start it from the top, and it would have a border width, which we all have already given. Border color we have given. Font sizes, yeah. So everything else is pretty same, only these two props and this thing has changed. Okay, and now what we need to do is we need to give a button. Okay, so let us do this. So we will say text add note, and of course it is not visible because we do not have the actual color. We'll say hashtag fff. Okay, something when, okay, we are not adding the color property, so let me do it like this. So we have the add note visible over here, but now we need to give it some stylings, right? So let us do that very quickly. It would be a background color EE9B00. Padding would be 16. We have a border radius of 12. Cool, this looks good. And then we're gonna, say margin from the top. I will say auto. So what this margin auto would do, it would push the button to the very below. I mean, it will, whatever space we have, it will push this button. In that space it will push it to the top. Okay, so from the top it will give it a margin auto, and this auto would be the space that we have left on the screen on the UI. So as I hit the save button, you will see it has been pushed to the complete bottom. So this is what we wanted, right? And of course it is getting complete to the bottom, so let us give it some margin bottom. Okay, now this looks good. And for the this text also we need to add some more styling, so let us do that as well. So the font size would be 18, and font weight, it would be 600. Okay, and also we need to align it to the center. So either you can say align item center over here to the specifiable, or you can just simply say text align center like this. So there you go, we have it in the center. So yeah, we have done our add notes screen UI as well. So if I start typing over here, we can see we have this text coming up over here. But if you test this on the real device, what would happen is, in the real device, when you the keyboard, it gets open, and it will hide this add note button. So we need to take care of that as well. So for that, what we can do is we can come over here and wrap our entire content, this particular content, okay, inside a keyboard avoiding view. So let me say keyboard avoiding view from React Native, like this. Let me cut it over here and paste it over here. Okay, and now it again, this button again got pushed to the top, but do not worry, we'll fix it. So it takes a behavior prop, and for the behavior prop we are going to check if platform, coming from the React Native itself, platform.os is equal to iOS. We'll say the behavior as padding, otherwise we'll say height. Okay, and now we'll give it a style of text one, so that it takes the entire space. There you go. So now the content is pushed to the top. So this is how you can avoid that issue, that when in the real device a keyboard appears over here and this button, it would get hidden. Not only this button, any content, whatever content present there is. So in order to prevent that, what we do is we use a keyboard avoiding view. And now with the help of this view, what would happen is, as soon as the keyboard appears over here, this add node button, it would move to the top. So you would see it over here in the real device, and then you would be able to press this button. Okay, otherwise it will keep hidden in the background in behind the keyboard if you don't use keyboard avoiding view. So this is a basic thing then that I wanted to improve the basic user experience. So our add node UI is also completed. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move ahead and create our database layer, which we discussed in the initial part of the video. We are going to create our project on Supabase, register our Supabase and Expo, and we are going to integrate Supabase into our Expo project, and then we are going to fetch the real data. So now guys, for the backend part, we will be using Supabase, and honestly, it is one of the easiest and most developer friendly tools out there. It gives you a complete backend with authentication, database and storage all ready to go in just few clicks. So first let us, you have to head over to this supabase.com and create an account if you haven't already. So creating an account is as easy as creating an account on social media. Okay, so you might have created account on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. So it is the same. Okay, and you can log in via your GitHub too. So I have already have an Supabase account which is very active, and that's why I don't need to create one. So once you are so let us just discuss few things about Supabase. So as the documentation says, it is the Postgres development platform, and it gives you, edge functions, real-time subscriptions, storage, and it is like a complete backend solution. So you don't have to write your own custom backend, and you don't have to host your own database, your own servers. Okay, so Supabase manages all that for you. So now if you want to check the pricing, if you are building some really production apps, you can go ahead and check the pricing over here. Okay, it has a free tier, pro, team and enterprise. I won't be going into the pricing much, but this is the pricing section for you. The main thing that we are going to use for this particular tutorial is the database over here. Okay, so this is the database that we're going to use. So for that, what you can do is, once your sign up and all is complete, you can go to this dashboard. So in the dashboard you will see organizations. Okay, so I have already one organization. You have to create your own organization from here, and you can name it whatever you want to. I have created it and I have named it this one. So here you can see I have a free plan. And now once you have an organization, inside this organization you can create new projects, and there can be multiple projects. But the thing is that if you have uh, like uh, there can be multiple projects, but it is limited. So you have to, some of your projects which are inactive, they might get paused, or if you exceed the limit, you can delete your unused projects and create new one. Okay, so now if I have to create a new project, I would go to the new project tabs, and over here you can see create a new project. Okay, and here it is saying that your project will have its own dedicated instance and a full Postgres database. Okay, and they will give us an API which we can, we can call on the front end side of our application, and this is how we are going to interact with the Supabase database via an API. So I'll show you where the API is and how all the setup needs to be done. But for the basic thing, let us just create a project. So I'm gonna name it nodes and choose a strong password. So I'm choosing mine. Yeah, this is good. And for the region, you need to choose it which is close to your users. Okay, so if you are just building this project for learning, then it won't hardly matter much. But if you are going on a production base, then you should ideally choose the region which is close to your users, so that that gives a great performance. Okay, so now what we need to do is, let me just quickly choose a region which is this, and you don't need to touch all this. Now just create a new project. And now like it will take some time. Yeah, okay, it is already initialized. So here you can see we have database, auth, storage and real time. So we do not need these three for now. We are just going to work with the database. and here it says notes, which is our project name. Okay, and over here it shows the project status. So I will give you a brief tour of this Supabase dashboard once we start building things, and you will get the you will get the gist of it just when we start building our database and start adding data and all. So let me just go to my table editor over here. Okay, so now this is the notes project, and inside it we need to create a new table, right? So the very first thing you can see over here is create a table. So let us click on it, and now you need to give a name to your tables. So in Postgres and SQL, we in relational database basically we have tables, right? Just unlike MongoDB, which is a key value kind of database, a NoSQL database. So, but in Supabase we use relational database. We write queries, relational queries. So now we need to give it a table name. So I would call it notes like this. Okay, and description is optional, so you can skip it, and you can enable row level security. Enable real time is not needed. Do not touch it. I mean, you can obviously select it, but it's not needed. And now what we need to do is, you can see we have some default values over here, which is id. Okay, it is int date, and we have a created at, which is a timestamp, and it has a default value of now. So whenever any note would be created, what would happen is this thing, it would create the exact time for it. Okay, so we are not going to create the node creation logic on the front end side. Let our server handle it. Okay, because the server is more reliable in this case. So let us keep it as it is. And of course it is a primary key, because should be primary, because we need to uniquely identify records. So this is done with the help of id. So here we have selected it as primary. Okay, so if you choose it, it gives you a warning that table should have at least one column as the primary key to identify each row. Yeah, we know that. So let us just check it again. And default value, and then it has a type which is int date, so we are not going to touch this as well. Now for the, what do we say, columns that we need to have is, we need to have two columns. One is the title, and it would be of text, and we do not want to keep it null, right? We want the users to at least put something. And you can see this is empty. Okay, so let us leave it like this as it is. If you want the users to allow null values as well, so in that case what you can do is, from the settings icon you can choose this is nullable. So here you specify that if the column can assume a null value if no value is provided. But in our case, do you want, just think about it, do we want the users to enter an empty note, to save an empty note? No. So we want it that it should not be nullable. Okay, so similarly, and over here you can add another note column. It would be content, and choose a data type which is text. And of course for this as well we want some value. Okay, so I think they have already is nullable, they have already selected is nullable. So uncheck this, because we do not want, again I'm saying, we do not want the users to enter null values. And is unique, do you want the user to add notes only the unique ones, like the content should be unique? No, we do not want our content to be unique. Okay, so yeah, this is done, and these are the only columns that we wanted. The date one is added by default, id is added by default. So these two are the ones that we have added. So now our database is ready, we do not need any foreign key. So these are the our small table that we are going to work with. Hence hit the save button over here, and it is taking some time adding 4 column to notes. Your table notes is good to go. So our table is created with the column id, one created at, which were the defaults, and then we have a title and a content, right? So now we need to add some data to it, because this is currently an empty table, right? So for the data, what we can do is, you are seeing this insert, right? So go over here, insert row, and each record is ideally called a row over here. And you can see we have this id column. So now over here it is saying automatically generated its identity. So you do not need to enter anything over here, it will be automatically generated. Now for the created at also, the default is now, which is the current instance, so it will be also automatically generated. For the title you can of course give something. So let's say new app idea, and it would be, let's say, affordable hair salon services, something like this. And we have added the title, we have added the content. Now hit save, and there you go, successfully created row, and our content has been added, right? The title and the content. Now of course you can edit it from here if you want to, like this. Okay, so it is done. And similarly you can edit the content column as well. So one record has been created, but what if you want to add multiple records? Again, you would do the same. ID would be generated and date would be generated. For the title you can say repair my mobile and go to the mall, get it repaired by EOD, which is end of the day. Okay, so something like this, and hit save. So again, another record has been added with an ID of 2, the date. Okay, and not only date, it has the timestamp as well, and the title and the content over here, like this. But now what if you want to add records in bulk, like you have 10 nodes? So of course you can do this, like insert row. Okay, but this would be time consuming. Okay, so for that what we can do is, as this Supabase, it provides us an SQL editor. So over here you can see SQL editor, you can click it over here, and then you can write your SQL queries over here. In fact, the table that we created, you could have created that particular table by writing the SQL commands over here. Okay, and do not worry if you do not know nothing about Postgres, writing the relational queries, SQL or Postgres SQL queries. Supabase itself solves that issue for us. It is meant for people who are not much into writing the queries. Okay, but this is something that I am showing for people who want to, who kind of know about SQL queries already and just want to insert data in bulk. So now let me just copy paste the command over here. So let's say I want to add this particular data. So what do? Is we say insert into the table name. What is the table name? It is notes. Okay, I know that like the project name is also notes, but don't get confused. Table name is also notes. You could have given a different project name, let's say notec or whatever, but the table name is notes. Hence, this is the table name, not the project name. Okay, then you give the column name that where you want to add the data. So I want to add data to title and then to the content. Okay, and then you use a values keyword, that what values you want to add, and then you give shopping list. Okay, so this one, it will be added to the title, and this one, which is the content, it will be added to the content. Okay, so this particular thing is title, this is title, and this is title, and this is content. It will get added into the content column. Okay, so this is the basic SQL query that we have written, and then if I hit run from here, you will see success, no rows returned. So that means our data has been added. So let us quickly go to the table editor and just refresh it. Okay, it got, if you are not able to see the data, just refresh it. Otherwise, here we have. Okay, and you can refresh it from here. Okay, so you can see our data has been quickly added, right? So these three are the new records that we added via this SQL query. So this is the thing that I wanted to tell you. And of course there are a lot of things, there are templates, there are quick starts, but for this tutorial we are not exploring much. We'll be just doing whatever it takes to finish the tutorial. Okay, and learn whatever is included in this particular tutorial. So these are the things that I wanted to show. Now this data, it is getting saved into our backend, basically the database that Supabase has provided. Okay, so now this is like in a row and column fashion. Now what we can do is we can fetch this data on the UI. But now you might be wondering at how on our mobile app how this data would be shown. So let me show you something. Here you can see we have API docs, right? Let me zoom in, sorry. Okay, so here with this book icon you can see API docs. You can click over here, and as I told you before, what Supabase does is it gives us these APIs which we can write on the front end side of our application. Okay, and with the help of these we can fetch our data. So if I copy this, I'm not doing this now. I will tell you when it needs to be done, because I need to show you a few things more. So if I copy this particular thing and call it on our front end side, it will return us all the nodes. from the whatever from this table that we have created. Okay, so there are tons of queries. You can read specific columns by id, so that's why we created the id, right? This id over here, so that we can read specific columns. And then you have some filtering logic as well. With you have pagination, you have some filtering. By filtering you can see equals to, greater than, less than, greater than, equals to, like is like, etc. So there are a lot of things that SQL provides. These are the all the queries that are normal SQL or PostgreSQL queries, but it's just that Supabase is solving us, and it is giving us super simple APIs. Instead of writing SQL queries, you can use these APIs to perform the CRUD operations. So enough talking now. What we are going to do is we're going to set up our front end side. We're going to integrate the Supabase with our client side mobile application, and then we're going to fetch this data. So let me show you how it is done. All right, now let us start integrating Supabase into our project. So let me open my project where we left off. So here, over here, we are going to go step by step. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to install the Supabase client library, so that we have the Supabase client and we can set it up. So let me just go over here and get the command, which is npx. Let me just show you like this, and let us write that command into our terminal itself, and it would be npx expo install @supabase. Or if it not visible, let me just make it. Yeah, so this is the command npx expo install @supabase slash supabase hyphen js. So do not make any mistake over here. Carefully type it out as I have written over here, and just hit enter. Yeah, so it is installed. Let me just cross check once again and minimize this terminal. Let me just close it. So now the next thing that we need to do is we need to create a utils folder over here like this, and we need to create a supabase.js file like this. Okay, and inside it what we are going to do is we are going to create a Supabase client. So let me write const Supabase. We're gonna refer it by the name of Supabase, and then you need to write client. So you can see it is coming from the library we just installed. Okay, so hit enter, and it got imported from the library that we installed. So now this create client, it is a function, and it takes two things. First is the Supabase URL. Again, let me type it out, Supabase URL. And the second one over here, you can see in the suggestion also we have this Supabase URL, and the second one is an NN key. Okay, so we are going to call it Supabase publishable key. Publishable, yeah. So these are the two things that Supabase needs in order to successfully connect our app to the Supabase that is hosted. So now what we need to do is we need to get these two keys, because we do not have them, right? So let us go to the Supabase dashboard. So from here, go to the project settings, and over here go to the data API. Over here you will find the URL. Okay, so copy this one, and now make a variable over here, Supabase URL. Okay, and paste your URL over here like this. And the second thing that we need is we need this Supabase publishable key, right? Go to your project settings over here, from the API keys get this and public key. Okay, this one, copy this. Again, create a new variable, Supabase publishable key, and add your value over here like this. Let us keep it inside these strings. Okay, it got broke because I used a separate line, so do it like this. Yep. Okay, and like, do not try your hacky ways to enter this URL or this and this project key. I will be deleting the entire project once this the recording of this video has been done. But of course, even if someone gets these URL, they are completely safe. I mean, there won't be any hacking stuff going on, because what Supabase does is it uses a row level security. Okay, so even if someone in your friend circle, or maybe you expose them to somewhere, don't worry about it. They're safe to expose. Okay, so Now the another thing that we need to do is we need to create a .env file. So create a .env file in the root of your project folder, and over here what we are going to do is we are going to create two variables: expo public supabase URL. And please make sure that your URL, your variable, sorry, it start with expo public only. Okay, and over here we are going to paste that. Okay, we'll let me just create the two variables really quickly: expo public so basically like this. Okay, and now over here these two things, these two variable, we are going to paste it over here like this, and this one also like this. So now you might be wondering that why I created a different .env file. There are, like, multiple reasons for that, because we need to maintain the separations of configurations with the code. So configurations like this, they should be always kept in the .env files. Okay, this is a standard industry practice to keep the configuration value inside the .env files. And also it is easier for collaboration. Let's say someone else, there is a senior developer in your company, or let's say in your side projects you are collaborating with someone else, so it would be easy for them as well to, if they want to get an idea of what all keys, what all services are being used, so they can come to this .env file and get a gist of it. Okay, and also it is a security habit to keep your, secure keys inside .env. And the next thing that we are now going to do is we need to get access to them inside this, right? So how we are going to do that? So it is using process.env, process.env dot the variable name. So what is the variable name that we kept? It is, let me copy it like this, and second one it would be also process.env dot this. Okay, so now what is going over here is that we are fetching the data from this file using process.env. Okay, so these are the two variables that we created, hence we are calling these two only. So now our configuration is almost done. Instead, it is 100% done. Now we need to, just check if things are working as we are expecting them to be. So, now let us go to your home screen, and over here let us start fetching the data. For now I will be using a use effect hook which is provided by React itself, but for the data fetching logic we are going to use TanStack Query, which is a superb library for, doing all your fetching logics. But just to test it out, we let me just use use effect only. Okay, so over here I will call use effect like this. Okay, let me just create it like this, and get nodes like this, and pass an empty dependency array. And now we need to create this get nodes function, const get nodes. It would be an async function basically. And over here what we're going to do is we can write our query. So I told you, let me just minimize it. I told you that it gives us a API docs, right? So in order to, fetch the data, we are going to use this one. So copy it from here, and over here use try catch like this, and call it like this. Okay, and what so now let us, just quickly log it to the console so that we can see if we have the data like this, and data like this. Okay, and instead we should call it nodes, because we are modifying the, our variable name over here, so it returns the data, but you can call it nodes over here like this by passing a colon. Or let's say if you are building an e-commerce, you can call it, like products like this. Okay, so we are just using nodes because you are building a node site. So now let us see if it is fetching some data or not. Let me reload the app. Okay, so there is nothing. So why there is nothing? Is it being called get nodes async await Supabase? Let us just see if there are some errors. Okay, Supabase doesn't exist, it gives the error, right? So yeah, of course it doesn't exist. Why? Because I simply copy pasted the query over here. But how does this file name know what is Supabase? So what you need to do is Supabase, like this. Okay, again my bad. What we need to do is we need to export it, right? So export it. Okay, and we have exported it. Now what we're gonna do is where yeah, over this home file, now let me delete one character and press E again. It will start showing the auto suggestion again. So Supabase is coming from utils. Okay, so now we have imported Supabase, and now if I check my terminal again by reloading the app, you would see we have data as empty array. So why is the data coming as empty though there are no errors, right? So one thing that we need to do is, I told you that Supabase has a row level security concept, right? So currently we have this table, right? Nodes table, and it says add RLS policy. So and below it has a tooltip, right, which says that RLS is enabled for this table, but we have no policies created yet. Okay, so select queries may return zero results. Okay, and that's what happening with our nodes array. It doesn't have any results, right? So it is telling us that please create a policy. Okay, so let us create a policy. I clicked let me just show you again. I clicked on this button, add RS policy, and now we are inside this policies column. So over here you can see create policy. So and we have this table name as well, so make sure you are adding it inside this nodes table only. Click on create policy, and now here we have some templates already. Okay, which is enable read access for all users, insert, delete. Okay, so these are there are many policies. I won't be going for everyone in very detail, but currently we need this one, which is enable read access for all users. So this policy gives read access to a table for all users via the select operation. So let me just click on this. So as soon as I clicked on this, what happened is over here we got a true return. Okay, so earlier it was empty. Using this it was blank. So as soon as I clicked on it, true got inserted over here. Okay, so that's how you can create policies. And now once this is created, we have this enable read access for all users. This is our policy name. Okay, and this is the table name, and this is the select for select queries. Okay, and this is the complete policy. So now you need to do is save policy, successfully created policy. So we have created one policy. Okay, and now if we go to the terminal and if I reload the app, let us see if data come. There you go, we have our data. Okay, so these are the records that are coming from this not this one, this particular table. Okay, so yeah, so this query, I show you a basic working of how we can simply use the APIs provided to us by Supabase, and here is how we can write it in our client side application, and then we can fetch data. But as I told you before, we are not going to use this use effect. We are going to use TanStack Query, which is a specialized data fetching library. So now let us see how we can install that library and how we can work around that. Okay, but before working with that library as well, one thing that I forgot to mention is in the intro of the video we discussed that we have a data layer as well, right? So currently let us first prepare our data layer. Okay, so for preparing the data layer, what we need to do is we are going to create a folder inside this src, and we're going to call it API, like this. Okay, and inside this API we are going to call nodes.js, because this is for nodes. Now inside this nodes, what we need an API for read all nodes, right? So now let us start creating that. So I will make a function get all nodes, and it would be an arrow function, and then from here I'm gonna paste this particular piece of code, like this. And like if you do not want me to paste it from here, what we can do is just simply go to your this Supabase dashboard, go on this API docs and copy paste it from here. And if you are someone who loves to type it out, you can definitely type it out as well, but it will unnecessary extend the time of the tutorial. So that's why I simply copy pasted it. And now since this is an await keyword over here, we need to make this function async, of course, because this is an asynchronous operation. Okay, and the next thing that we are going to do is we have this data which we are using it as nodes, and we have our query. So what we can do is we can return nodes, and of course before that we are going to do a simple check. If there is an error, we are going to throw an error, throw new error like this, and it would be error dot message. Okay, so just now you saw we had an error right in the terminal. So for things like that we can do this, and of course this should be handled on the UI. We need to show to the user also that what went wrong while fetching the nodes, while creating nodes, etc. So that's why it would be helpful. Okay, and so yeah, this was a simple stuff that we did. Now we need to create another thing, which is create nodes, because we have three functionalities. We can get all nodes, we can create nodes, and we can delete node. So now let us do for the create node as well. So simply write this create node like this, and this would be an arrow function. It would be async, and it will accept two things: title, content. And now over here, let me just write this query on my own. So const data error, let me aw await, and we're going to get Supabase from Supabase. Okay, one thing, yeah, I have made one mistake over here that I haven't imported it, right? So please make sure to import it like this. Supabase, let's call it. And what do we do is, not, we are not going to call it, we are going to say Supabase from what? The table name. So our table name is nodes, and we're going to attach one more, which is insert, because we are performing an insert operation. So for insert, it will take an array, and inside that array we can write our title and content like this. Okay, and then we're going to attach dot select, and that then dot single, right, like this. So this is a complete command. Okay, so even if you go to the Supabase dashboard over here, for the update insert rows over here, you would see the exact same command, right? Okay, so this is the thing, you can copy from here or you can type it out on your own. And now of course we need to make a check. Let me just copy the check from here. Okay, otherwise we are going to return nodes. Okay, and over here let me just do it nodes only, because we are doing nodes like this. Or shall we call it data only? Let's call it data, not nodes. So I'll just simply do this, return data. Okay, I messed it up, data, because we are going to rename it on some other place, so I don't want to confuse. So that's why let us call it data and data like this. And now this is cool, and this is for create a node. So our two APIs are ready. Okay, and now we need to create a third one, which is delete node. Okay, so for the delete node, we are going to this delete a node by ID, of course. So we are going to simply do export const delete node like this, and it would be an async function, and it would take an ID. Then we'll say await Supabase dot from our table name. Then we are going to code delete like this, dot equals like this, and we're going to pass the ID. So this is not my own made up command. You can get it from here at itself. Okay, so this is the thing, sum column, it says equivalent to sum column. So what is sum column? It is our column which is ID that we created. Okay, and we're passing the ID because ID uniquely identifies each record, hence we can delete it with the help of ID. And now in the case of delete, we are just returning the error because we do not need the data. So again, I will copy paste the command. If there is some error, we're gonna just throw it, and our business logic layer, it will handle this particular error. So our all the three methods are done: get all nodes, create node, and delete node. And these are the methods for which we created the UI. These are the exact same functionality, which is the reading, then creating, and then deleting. Okay, so deleting is not implemented, we are going to implement that. So these are the things that we are going to do, and now let us start implementing our business logic layer that we discussed in the intro of the video. So guys, now let us start working on installing and setting up TanStack Query. As you can see, I am on the documentation of the TanStack Query over here, and of course we are going to use the latest version of it. But let us see a quick intro of what TanStack Query can do for us. So as the documentation says, it is a powerful asynchronous state management tool, especially I would say server side state. Okay, because state can be of two types. One resides on the UI, which is the global state, and one lives on the server. So you can handle the global UI state with the help of Redux and Justin, but for the server state fetching and caching it, TanStack Query is a gate tool. Okay, so now what we can do is, and not only this, let me just tell you what else TanStack Query can help us with. So let's say if I'm fetching this gets node with a use effect hook. So what happens is that this server call, it will take some time, right? Okay, so if we want to, let me just reload this app because I haven't implemented the cross functionality yet. So let's say the server call, it took some time and we need to show some loading spinner over here. So for that, what we gotta do is, we usually what we do is we do it like this, right? Loading, set loading, and then you use a use state hook. Okay, and similarly for error as well, we create another state, right? I'm not going to create everything, I'm just showing very quickly. So what TanStack Query does is, as you can see, it gives us a error state, right? And similar to this error state, it will also give us a loading state. So you do not have to write all this, and this is, it gets too much when you have to repeatedly do this for all your fetching logics. Okay, it gets really time consuming, and of course it is a lot of things that we need to manage by our own. But with the help of TanStack Query, you can skip all these things, it will handle everything by default. So this is the basic thing that TanStack Query can help us with. So yeah, this was the thing, and now let us read the docs and start installing it. So go to this installation section and just quickly copy this particular command, go to your terminal, open the terminal, and paste it like this. So now the TanStack Query has been installed, and let me just minimize this screen. Okay, like this. And now what we need to do is, inside this root component, which is app.js, we need to wrap our TanStack Query provider over here, so that our entire app knows that yeah, we have this TanStack Query and we can use it in anywhere we want. So for that, what we generally do is, we do like this: query client provider. Here it is. So this is the provider that this TanStack Query gives us, and now it takes a query client. So like this client, and you can pass a query client. So query client, and now we need to create this client because it says query client doesn't exist. So create it, query client. Okay, and new query client. It is coming from TanStack Query itself, not cache client. Okay, so this is some code that you have to write, you need to configure it. Okay, so this is how you can create this query client, and now with the help of this query client, we can perform all our fetching and mutations, the CRUD operations basically. So now let us see how we can do that. So our TanStack Query setup is done. Now over here in the src, we need to create another folder, and we're gonna call it let's call it queries. Okay, so I'm calling it queries because these are the queries that we are going to write. Okay, so it makes sense to call it queries. And again, create a notes.js folder, and now you will see how all the pieces connected, how all the three states, which is the UI layer, and then this database layer, and then this queries layer. How these three will get connected, you will understand it now. So what I'm going to do is, the very first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to create a custom hook, use note list like this, and followed by an arrow function, and I will return a use query hook like this. Use query TanStack. It is coming from TanStack Query itself. Yes, so inside this use query hook, we need to pass an object like this, and of course, and what an object will take, it will take a key value pair, right? So the very important thing, it is query key, and we are going to say notes. I will explain you each and everything, just let me complete this. And it takes a query function. Okay, and now which query function we want here? This is our use note list hook, and we need to fetch the nodes over here, like all the nodes. So if you remember, we just created this get all nodes method, right, in the database layer, which basically calls our Supabase API. So I'm gonna call this one over here, get all nodes like this. Okay, and like you do not need to do like this, it is simply this. Okay, and it would work. So now what is happening over here? First, let me explain you what this use node list is. It is a custom hook pattern. So custom hook basically help us to separate our business logic from the UI things. Okay, so it is a quite a great pattern which I have personally used in my workplace as well. So we basically create a custom hook, and it should be starting with use. Okay, and over here we are returning a use query. This use query is coming from TanStack Query, and we are passing two things over here. One is the query key, and it is quite important because with the help of this query key, the TanStack Query, it caches your data so that it doesn't make another network request to the server and overwhelm it. Instead of that, what it will do is it will get the data from the cache itself. Of course, there are a lot of concepts like stale time, garbage collection time, but we are not covering it in this video. For now, let us just understand that this is query key and it is important. It will cache our data. And another thing is query function. It is the function that you are going to pass, which will contain your DB queries, basically where you are writing your queries that are directly interacting with your database. So our this query, it is directly interacting with the database, hence we called it over here like this. Now, okay, everything is done. Now how do we use it? How do we render the nodes over here? We have been talking about a lot of things, and now I will show you how we can fetch the loads from the database. So you need to simply go to your screens, and inside this home, let me just remove everything. We do not need anything from here, and you will just simply call the use node list hook like this, use nodes list, and it got imported from the queries. Okay, make sure it is coming from this queries folder, and over here we'll get three things. The first one would be the data, and this second one would be error, and another one which is pending. So is pending is similar to like is loading, but I think they have updated it in the latest documentation, so now we call it is pending. Is pending is basically when the query is going on, and the data has not arrived yet. So in that case, it is pending, this would be true. Okay, and once this is true, we can show a loading indicator or a loading text. Now another one is error. Of course, in case of error, we are going to show the error text. And the third one is data, which is our actual data that we want to render over here. So now let us see it in action. So I will rename this data to nodes like this. Okay, and let us create the pending state as well. So if is pending is true, I will simply call a loading indicator over here. Let me create a view activity indicator. It will come from React Native, and it will have a size of large, and color would be A9, A9, A9 like this. Okay, and of course let us give it some styling. So it would take the entire screen, because if there is no data, we can show the loading indicator and it will take the entire screen. And also we need to center it, so we will say justify content center, align items to the center, and a background color. Let me just 1 2 1 2 1 2. Cool. Not s, like this. Okay, so is pending is done. Now we need to construct an error state as well. So for the error state, I would just copy it, so that no, not a lot of time is wasted. So now I will explain you what this is. If error is true, which is coming from this particular thing, so we are going to show a failed to load nodes message, and below it we are going to show the exact error message. Okay, you can skip this one, because we do not need to show it to the end user that what actual error is. We can simply refer a message that the user can understand. Okay, and this is the basic styling that we have done. It is like same as this one. So our loading and array state are done. Now we need to just use this nodes array. So where is our flat list? Over here. Instead of dummy nodes, what we're gonna do is I will call nodes like this, and there you go, it got instantly updated, right? New app idea for myself. Let me just open the database. So see, new app idea for database, then repair my mobile, then shopping list, and then meeting ideas, and then book to read. And if I change it, let's say, if I say for my company, okay, and this, and if I enter, so this is updated over here. And now if we do a refresh, press R, you will see the updated note, where yeah, over here, new app idea for my company. Cool. So if I try to reload again, you might have seen, in a very blink the activity indicator was being shown for a very few milliseconds, right? So this currently the speed is very fast, hence it is showing for a very very less time. But so yeah, this is the benefit of React query, TanStack query. And let me minimize it. Let us get back to it again. So our fetching thing is done. Now what we need to work on this add functionality. So now let us start working on this as well. Okay, so we are going to create another query over here, which will uh, which will call this which will call this create node function. So I hope you're getting it. We have created all our database logic over here, and now one by one we are calling them over here, okay, inside our queries function. So now let us start implementing our this add nodes functionality. Okay, where we can add the title, add the content, and then when we hit save add note, the note would be created to our Supabase database on our server. Okay, so for that what we are gonna do is we're going to create a new hook basically. So it would be export const use create note like this, and it will return a use mutation, return use mutation, TanStack query. And this use mutation hook, it will take an object, and the very important thing would be the mutation function. So in mutating, this is the most important thing. Let me tell you something about the mutating, what mutating actually is. So we have CRUD operations, right? Create, read, update, and delete. So anything except the read, that is create, update, or delete, they together they all of them fall into the category of mutation, because these three operations, they change something on the server, right? Either they're creating a new resource, or they're updating an existing resource, or they're deleting an existing resource. Hence they fall under the category of mutating, and hence this hook name use mutation, and therefore the function name is also mutation function. So here we are going to pass our function that we just created. If you remember, we created this create node function, which take the title and content and then hits the Supabase query to the nodes table. It passes in, it inserts in the title and the content, right? And then it returns a single node. So we are going to call this function. So let us call that function create node from API's node. Okay, and yeah, this is the most important thing that this use mutation hook will take. And yeah, this is for now, this is enough. We are going to modify this in a while, but let me just implement the row functionality first. And now inside this add node, we want that hook inside this add node, right? So what we're gonna do is we're going to say use create node from queries folder, and here we will say const, and we need two things. First is the mutate function, and second one is pending, because this operation mutating something on the server, it would take time, right? So in that time our app would be in pending state as well until the operation has been completed. So in that case we need to show the UI accordingly, conditionally. Okay, so now this mutate, this function, let me tell you, this mutate is the this function, it would be called on it corresponds to this function. Okay, so understand this corresponds to this particular thing. And now of course it won't be called immediately, so for that we will create another function, handle add, like this. And the very first thing we are going to do is validation. So we are going to say that if the title is not there and if the content is not there, then we are going to return. But we do not currently have the title and content state, so let us initialize the local state as well. So const state, or not state, it would be title, set title, like this, and use state, like this. And then we have the state for content and a setter method content, like this. Okay, and other than that what we need to do is, yeah, these two states are fine. So we're going to say if title dot trim or content dot trim is not present, so let me add a note. So in that case we're going to show an alert, please enter, it's here, and then we'll return. Okay, so if the user hasn't entered these two, we are going to show an alert, and we don't want the handle add operation to proceed further, hence we returned it. Okay, but if these things are present, in that case we are going to call this mutate. And now let me change this to add note. Why I did this is that in this single file you can have multiple mutate operations. Currently this is a simple app, but in complex application definitely you're going to have a lot of mutate functions over here as well. So you won't call everyone by the mutate name, it would be confusing as well. So that's why we are kind of aliasing it to add note. So if everything is fine, we're going to call add note, like this, and it will take an object that will accept the title and the content, like this. So this is called the variables object. Okay, and these will be passed to our server function by the create node. Okay, create node will pass it to the Supabase. So yeah, add node is done, and it will take another object where we can define what should happen on success. So it will take an arrow function, and once the node has been added, we are gonna go navigation. Let me import the navigation first. Navigation, let me just copy paste it so that we don't make any typo. Navigation dot go back. So it will go back to the home screen because that was the previous screen from where it came from, right? And in case of error, we, okay, of course, so I had missed this comma. So on in case of error, what should we ideally do is let us show an alert, like this, error, could not save the note. Cool, so this is done. We have added two objects. One is the variable object, another one is the context object, and we have passed two functions to it. One is to go back to the previous screen if the nodes creation process is success, otherwise we are showing an alert on error. Okay, and now, so yeah, this handle add function is done, but we haven't connected this title and content to these text inputs, right? So let us quickly do that as well. So this is for the title, so let me say value title, and on change text, it would be set title. Cool. And let me just copy these two, come over here, paste it over here, and it would be for content, set content. Cool. We have connected our states to these text inputs. Okay, so now whatever we are going to capture, it would be whatever we are going to write over here, it would be captured to our states, which are these, and then it will be passed to the server functions. Okay, so what else needs to be done over here is, yeah, we need to call the add node function over here. So we're gonna say that on press call handle add, but handle add is an asynchronous operation, hence it can take some time as well, right? So we cannot just show add node. So for that we are going to conditionally render on the basis of is pending. if if the server the action is still pending, we're gonna show an activity indicator, otherwise we are going to show text like this. Of course we can give some color to it like this, and this is pending, it is coming from this hook also, this hook only, which is, and this basically TanStack Query is giving us. Okay, so you know what benefit TanStack Query has, otherwise we had to create this on state, this is pending state over here. Okay, and we had to also create the error state separately like this, but TanStack Query solves us for this, we do not have to create, and it automatically tracks that for us. So now this is done, and of course we can change the background color of this button as well. So for the background color, what I'm gonna do is, if is pending is true, I'm gonna say B5 8B 3C. Cool. So when we are going to see a loading indicator over here, the color would be this one, otherwise it is as it is. Okay, these two colors are same. So now let us try creating a new node. Everything is fine, we have defined the states, we have connected them to the text inputs, we are calling add node over here. On success it will go back. So let me just quickly add a new node, awesome node title, awesome node content, not like this, and let me hit add node. See, you can see the loading indicator, right? And I think there okay, it is taking time, it maybe depends on the internet speed, mine is a little slow as of now. Let me just check any error. Okay, there's nothing in the console as of now. Okay, I think I have done some mistake, why it is just loading. It is fine over here. Navigation don't go back, this is also correct, I guess. Okay, so it is constantly loading. Let me just check in my Supabase dashboard if something is created or not. Refresh it from here. Okay, it was already refreshing, but I think nothing might have been added. Yep, nothing has been added, and it is constantly reloading. So but we are not getting the error right, so at least we can, the one basic thing that we are missing is on error. So for it is for us developers, that we can get the error over here. So let me just log the error, console.error failed to add note, and if I have saved it, and let me just log the error. Okay, and now if I hit add note, okay, we have some error, I guess. Failed to add note, new row violates row level security. Oh, all right, we had forgotten to add a policy for the creation as well, right? So now let us give the insert policy as well. So what we're gonna do is, not from here, let me just minimize this. Here you can see we have one RLS policy already enabled, right? So let me click over here, And if you like kind of finding this policies thing confusing, you can disable RLS also, but that's not a good great practice. Instead, let us create a policy for the insert as well. So here you can see we are not going to choose from this one because these are based on the authenticated users, but we have public roles as well. So over here you can see defaults to all public roles if none is selected. Okay, because we currently do not have any authentication, hence we do not have any users, and that's why we cannot select from these templates. So you can get an insert from here, and then you can of course provide a true over here and add a policy name over here. Insert allowed, or let us name it properly, allow insert for public roles, like this. Okay, so this is our policy name, this is for insert, and uh, we have passed this true check as well. So now hit save policy, it should be created. Yeah, successfully created the policy. And now let us try it out. I reloaded the app once again, and let me minimize the console. Let us go to this SQL row editor, not this one, this over here, and let me add a new node now. Awesome node, awesome content, and I hit add node. So of course it won't be get over here, because I want to tell you that that's a different topic, basically how we can instantly get the node over here. But for now, let us see if it got added into the database or not. Okay, so it got added, but it is not getting added in the same format in which these nodes are. So I think we did some mistake in the UI level code, or ideally we are passing the data from the UI like this, and it is taking inside this object. Okay, I think we need to pass it like this. And now let me reload once again. I know these things happen sometimes while typing code out fast. These kind of mistakes ideally shouldn't be happening in the production, of course, but while building and recording tutorials, these might happen, so it's fine. So awesome note, awesome content, and I'm sure this time it's going to work completely. So let me open my Supabase dashboard and let me hit add note. Okay, and let me refresh it from here. There you go, we have awesome note, which is the title that we added. It is coming inside this title table. And then we have content, so some content is coming inside the content column. Okay, but why the note is not coming over here? So let me introduce you to another concept called invalidating queries. So let me quickly implement it, and then I'm going to explain it to you. And over here we need to create a client, use query client from TanStack Query. So this is basically a query client on which we are going to call the invalidate queries like this, and it will take an array of keys. So our keys name is nodes, right? And yeah, now it is done. And now let me okay, so our node has been added over here because we reloaded the app. It is not coming over here because of this particular thing, because it hasn't take effect, right? We reloaded the app, and that's why these are being displayed. Now let me just show you quickly. By milk, and if I had add note, there you go, it got instantly updated. Okay, so with the help of invalidate queries, what we are doing is, it is the one of the most important concept in TanStack Query. So we are telling our app that, hey, the old data, please invalidate it, it has now become stale. We have something new, we have a new node created on the server, so we want to show the user the newly created node. So please invalidate the queries, and which queries we need to invalidate, which have nodes key associated with it. That's why I wrote very important over here, because it is kind of uniquely identifies each queries. So now over here, once we are invalidating the queries, the use mutation this particular thing, it will make a fresh call to the server, and it will get all the updated data, because a new node has been created, so it needs updated data. So this is the whole flow of creating and fetching new data. Let me just quickly show you one more, and add node, and there you go, how instantly it is getting updated, right? And guys, let me tell you one thing, if you had to implement this with just pure use effects and all, it might be a nightmare, trust me on this. So this is how this simple TanStack query is. It is taking a lot of headache away from you, okay, like fetching, caching, managing state and whatnot. Okay, so this is how it got instantly updated. So I hope you like the create to do functionality as well. Now what we need to do is we need to implement this delete functionality as well, because this is the last mutation that we are going to do in this app. So let us quickly do this as well. So for this also we are going to create another hook, which would be called not over here in the queries, which would be called delete nodes, like this. Again it will take the query client, because again it is a mutation. I told you, like, right, create, delete and update are all mutations. It will follow the same syntax of this one, it's just the function would change. And mutation function, it would be delete nodes. It is coming from our APIs folder. Now on success, let me just do this, copy this over here and paste it. Typing it out won't result in any benefit. So now you might be wondering why we are invalidating queries over here, because once the node is deleted, we want to show a fresh list, right? We do not want the node to be seen by the user. We want an instant UI update. So that because of that, we are invalidating the queries, and we're telling TanStack query that, hey, something has been changed on the server. Please, can you do a refetch of the list? So it will go to the server and it will get all the records, but this time in the records the deleted record won't be present. Okay, and all these things happen instantly, and on the error we will say failed to delete node. This is good. So what else can we do over here? Yeah, we just now need to call it inside our UI. So what we're gonna do is this delete functionality, it is this delete trash icon, it is present inside this note item component, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pass it from the home itself, or what we can do is we can directly call, since now we have this use effect, we can, I guess, directly call this use delete note inside our note items. So yeah, we can do that. So const use delete queries, yes, it is coming from queries, use delete, let me, it should be use delete note, use delete note, tool. And it will also give us two things, which is mutate and other than, yeah, only one thing, mutate, and then we are gonna rename it with delete note, like this. Okay, and now we are gonna create a function called on delete, like this. And guys, since this is a notes application and destructive, this delete notes is a destructive action, right? Because once this is deleted, we won't be able to get it back. So we want the user to see an alert, because sometimes what might happen is they might have mistakenly click over this particular icon. Okay, so they do not want to regret over it that they mistakenly created on this icon and the note had been deleted. So instead of that, we are going to show an alert first that, hey, are you sure you want to delete this, because this is a destructive action. And if the user is really sure, he's gonna press yeah and delete, otherwise he can press and cancel. Okay, so that's how it's gonna work. So for that we are going to use alert API from React Native. like this, and it basically takes three things. First one is a text message delete note. Here we are asking the user if they want to delete the note, and let me just make it multi-line like this. And the second one is, are you sure you want to permanently? Let me just type it out really quickly. Yeah, like this. And then it takes an array. Let me add a comma over here. So inside this comma it will take two objects, and these two objects are basically buttons. Okay, but it is an array of buttons basically. So these each object, it will take these things. So first it will be for the cancel, then on press it would be lock. So we'll say cancel pressed. This is for us developers. And style, it would be cancel. Cool. And I will just simply copy this one, paste it over here, and this one would be for the confirmation, that confirm delete confirm. So over here it would be destructive. So this is by React Native itself. It is not my own keyword. Okay, destructive. And now on the press of this, we are gonna call our delete note API. So let us call it like this. And this delete note API, it will take an ID, right? Because as you can see over here, where did it go? Delete note, it takes an ID as a param. So we need to pass that as well. So over here we can say item.id like this. Cool. So this item is coming from this, if you remember. Okay, and now what else? Just call this function. Where did our pressable? Yeah, over here like this, on delete. And I think this on delete function is done. Yeah, this is. And one thing that I want to discuss is this delete, these dates. These are basically currently hard coded, right? So do not worry, we are gonna fix it in a while. Let us first see if our delete functionality is working fine or not. So let me just reload the app once again, and let me delete. Where did it go? This one. So here we see the alert, right? Are you sure you want to permanently delete this node? I'm gonna say yes, delete. And it again did not get deleted. Why? Because I think we should get an error for this as well. Let me check it out. Okay, we do not have any error. Use delete note, and we are calling it inside our note item component. Yes. Okay, yeah, but we are calling this function over here, right? Delete note. So let me try, let me reload the app. Yep, it is here. Let me press once again, delete. Okay, so somehow we are not getting any error over here. By the way, I'm sure about the error. It should be ideally related to the policy only, because for delete also I think we need to create a policy. So let me just check it once again. And if I press hit delete, okay, we are not getting any error if this is being called or not. Yes, it is. So I don't see any issue over here, but let us try to do some fixes over here. Let me just console the data over here. So it would be data and then data, but we need to return the data as well. So I mean, we need to get the data from here as well. And now let us see what do we get if I say read a book. So data is coming as null, so which means there is something that we need to figure out on this Supabase policies. And one thing I realized is that we have not created a policy for the delete, so let us quickly create it. I'll choose delete from here. I will say allow delete for public roles, and I will pass a true over here as well, and I will hit save. Make sure it is this. Okay, let me just it happened very quickly. Let me show you what I wanted to tell. Make sure that over here this one is selected. Okay, default to all public role if none selected, and hit save. So our policy has been created, and now let us try if we can do that. And are we, yes, we are invalidating the queries as well, so ideally it should work. So let me delete this one first, and if I hit delete, see, there you go, it got deleted instantly, right? So this is the power of TanStack query. And if I try to delete one more, which is, let's say, some content, it gets deleted as well. Okay, and you can see it gives us a alert first that, hey, are you sure if you want to delete this? So if you want to cancel, you can cancel, otherwise you can delete it from here. Okay, so our uh, create, delete, and that what do you say, fetching functionality has been done. Now we need to do some basic fixes. The first one is this dates, so it is a quick fix. Let us do that instantly. So we need to format the date, right? So we will say formatted date like this, and it will return a new date like this. And we're going to pass date, which we are going to pass to this function. I mean, this function would accept it, and we'll say to local date string like this. Okay, and inside it we are gonna pass en slash us, and we will format it very highly. So we'll say numeric, then the month, it would be short, and day, it would be numeric again. So you will see it would be formatted very nicely. And now over here we can, where is date, yeah, over here we can call this function. Let me copy it again, and we can pass item dot date like this. Of course it should be in these curly braces. Okay, so okay, it is saying invalid date. So what went wrong with the date is item dot date, or let us start by creating a new one. Test my test, hit add note. Okay, so again it is coming as invalid date. So now we need to figure that out, what went wrong. Okay, do we have date inside our SQL editor? Created at, okay, we have this created at, so ideally it should be item dot created at and not date, right? Or let us just log the item for once. So item has content, okay, then created at, so it should be created at and not date uh, over here. Okay, like this, and ideally it should get fixed now. Yes, there you go, we have October 21 2025, and this is highly formatted, right? Let us quickly create one more new note, new content, and if I hit add note, you will see a loading indicator, and there you go, the note has been instantly added with the updated date over here, October 22 2025. Okay, so this is great, and of course we can delete this again. So test is deleted. Now the last thing that we need to do is we need to work on this cross button. So what can happen is, let's say user comes here but he decides that he do not want to add any note, so he can go back. Okay, So on this we are going to implement that functionality. Along with that, there are some logics as well that I will tell you for a good user experience. So let us create that as well over here. So like inside this add note, we are going to create a handle cancel button function, sorry. And over here what we are going to do is we're gonna say, so now understand that if, so chances are that, let's say user is typing something not over here, over here, okay, but by mistakenly this cross it gets clicked. So that's not good, that's not a good user experience, right? So just like delete, we are going to show a alert over here that, hey, are you sure you want to go back? So if they are sure, they can go back. Otherwise, with the help of this alert, if they have mistakenly clicked on this, then we can save their progress. Okay. So for that, what we are gonna do is title.trim.length, if it is greater than 0, or not like this, or if content.trim.len it is greater than 0, then we can say alert like this, and we can pass messages, discard, changes, and let me do it multi-line. We are asking it, so question mark, and you have unsaved changes, are you sure you want to discard them? And then we're gonna pass an array of buttons just like we did in the delete functionality. So let me just copy it from there itself, where it is inside this notes, I think. Yep. So let me copy this, come over here, add notes over here, and add that array like this, and it will say don't discard, and don't discard will act like cancel. So over here what we can do is, instead of logging also, you can just pass an empty arrow function like this, okay, if you do not want to log anything. And here we have some issues, so let us fix that first. And otherwise it would be discard. And on the case of discard, what is going to happen is it will navigation dot go back like this, okay. Okay, so and we have an else block as well, where we are gonna say navigation dot go back. So now understand, here what we are going to do is we will check if there is unsaved changes, okay. So if the user has written something that then we're gonna say, we are gonna check that, hey, if the title is it greater than 0, or if the content it is greater than 0. Oh, by mistake I added this, why, sorry. So we do not want to do the opposite. So if the title dot length is greater than 0, or the content dot length is greater than 0, in that case we're gonna show an alert if the user clicks on this, that, hey, you have something inside your text content, so are you sure you want to discard it? So if they say don't discard, then nothing would happen. But if they are sure that discarded, then we're going to navigate to the back, which is the home screen, okay. And otherwise, if they have nothing over here, and if they click on this, that means that they surely want to go to the back screen, right? So we are gonna simply navigate them back. So this is the small logic that I wanted to show. Now we're gonna use this handle cancel on this close button. So where it is over here like this, So on press pass handle cancel. Now let us first test it out with the empty slate, empty title, empty content. Ideally it should go back without any alert. There you go, it went back. And now if I have something uh, important note, important content, and if I hit cross, there you go, it shows us an alert that hey, you're writing something important. If like you have unsaved changes, are you sure you want to discard them? Then since it is very important, I would say don't discard, and then I will add the note like this. Okay, and the note has been added. But in case we are writing some random stuff and we want to go back, we can discard like this. Okay, so on discard also it goes back to the home screen, which is a great user experience. Okay, so now the whole functionality of this app is done. We are successfully fetching the data, we are successfully creating the data, we are successfully navigating back if we do not want to create any title, and of course you can delete as many notes as you want to. Okay, so yeah, this was the app that I wanted to show you. And now there is just one more thing left which I need to show you, and it is inside this home screen. We have not built the functionality of when there would be no nodes over here, right? So let's say if let me just uh, show you by this empty list. So now this is like a blank empty screen. How would the user know what I need to do over here, right? So this is a bad user experience. So for that, what we are gonna do is let me just make it multi-line again like this. So we will use a list empty component which is from React Native itself. I mean, it is inbuilt in the flat list, and over here we can pass a component. So I would say I will just pass a simple text. Okay, and it would say no nodes yet, tab like this, and plus to add one. Yeah, so this seems good. And now when the list is empty, this text would be shown on the screen. So here it is, but we need to add some styling. So let us add the styling really quickly. So style would be font size would be 16, and we will give it a color would be basically, let us keep it white for now like this. Yeah, it is fine. And text align, it would be center. Okay, but currently we want this to be in the middle. So what we can do is on this spread list we can use content container style. Okay, so over here you can add some styles to the container like this, and you can say like justify content, it would be like center. Okay, and flex, it would be 1. Okay, and there is some error. Okay, missing colon semicolon. Yeah, there you go, it is coming into the center now, right? But let us do some padding as well. This padding is for like when the nodes would be present. Okay, let me just call the nodes array over here once again. So now we have these nodes, right? So I have increased the padding. Earlier they were looking a bit clumsy, right? So let us add like this. And other than that, we would have some padding from the bottom as well. Let us keep it 100. Yeah, now this looks good. Okay, so yeah, these are the final fixes that I wanted to do. Okay, and now this is complete. So if you found this tutorial interesting or helpful in any way, and if you feel like you learned quite a lot of things, then please do share this video with your friends or whatever who is interested in learning building apps with React Native. Okay, and of course do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.